The Nifty is up about 51 points, 17,900 is what we have.
Market has been quiet, right? I mean, we're down about, 35 points.
We're down 1 percentage point on the key indices.
The markets are trading with deep cuts. We are tracking weak global cues. Nifty Bank is down 1,000 points from the record highs.
So fair to say that yes, we had a bit of a down day, but from the lows of the day, there was a good recovery on the Nifty Bank, as well as the mid-cap indices.
You're entering the future-ready CNBC TV 18 EBIX Cash Studio.
Hello and welcome to CNBC TV 18 EBIX Cash Studios. You are with us here on Markets Today, the show where we track the 6 hours of day's trading action through 5 headlines, 5 stories. I'm Prashant Nair. With me, my colleague Ekta Batra. Ekta, hi. Before we get into the show, let's just quickly wrap out the stories which mattered, the headlines that we are tracking for our viewers. Markets end in the red, but sharply off the low. Sensex and Nifty fall over 0.5% lower. Banks lead the recovery in the last hour. Nifty Bank finishes 700 points off the lows of the day.
Cyclical stocks like government companies, PSU banks, energy and the metal space do well. PSU companies gain the most, with Nifty CPSE ending more than 3% higher.
Coal India gains after the company tells CNBC TV 18 that demand will stay strong for 5 months, and it is looking to hike supply agreement prices after 4 years as e-auction rates zoom on tight supplies. The stock rallied almost 5% in trade today.
Crude oil prices rise for the 6th day in a row on tight supply. Brent hits a 3-year high, scaling $80 per barrel. This is on fears of tight supply.
Pharma stocks come under pressure as Divi's Laboratories and Cadila tank more than 2%. Reliance gains close to 1% after Jio offers cashback on its prepaid plans. Nazara Technologies and Delta Corp soar after a court observation that removes an illegal ban on online rummy, calling it a game of skill.
Okay, let's take a look first at how the markets fared in today's trade. But before we get to that, here's a lineup of what we have in store for you. It's a packed show. So in Market Opinion, we have with us S. Narain of ICICI Prudential AMC, Vetri Subramaniam of UTI AMC, and Mark Mobius of Mobius Capital Partners. From markets to corporate leaders, we have Pramod Agarwal, the Chairman and Managing Director of Coal India, Hardik Debar, who's the Group CFO of Delta Corp, and Nitin Sood, the CFO of PVR, also join in with their views. But before we get to all that, Prashant, it seemed to be quite a volatile day, but it seemed as though the big hero is the Nifty Bank.
You know, to make a joke of it, Ekta, someone messaged me saying that, well, when, you know, he just, this person, I don't want to name, he said, well, when did the Parliament pass this bill? Well, I said, what bill? He said the bill which disallows even a 1% fall in the Nifty. I think that kind of summarized. It was a down day, but there was no panic at all, through the course of the day. It's a classic risk-off move. The market ended lower, as I said, but the Nifty still managing about 150-point bounce from the day's lowest level. What is the risk-off environment looking like? I mean, the classic risk-off I mentioned, to start with, higher U.S. Treasury yields across the curve. The U.S. 2-year, the very short-term yield, is now at an 18-month high. The 10-year broke 1.5% overnight. Mind you, historically, what follows very large, sudden U.S. yield increases is that the dollar tends to strengthen. So we have the DXY hitting 93.41 kind of levels. Consequently, equities were mostly in the red across the Asian board, except the Hong Kong index, which was higher, notably higher, but that's on the Chinese central bank pledging to ensure a healthy property market overall. Oil prices are surging. I mean, you look at Brent, which is now past 80, and WTI, which is continuing its rally as well. So, I mean, it's a classic risk-off cocktail. Oil higher, yields higher, dollar strengthening, and equities a little bit lower. But, I mean, I want to finish what I started by saying, big time off the lows of the day on both the Nifty, the Bank Nifty, and other indices as well. Let's get to stock sector. What did we see?
Well, yes, it was the banks which really led the recovery in the last hour of trade. So that really provided the index the strength that it needed by the end of it. But there were frontline losers today, so there's no taking away from that. Telecom seemed to be really under pressure. So we had Bharti Airtel, which was down around 3.6%. We had Divi's Labs from the pharmaceutical space, which was down around 3% Financials such as Bajaj Finance also came under profit booking. TechM, ICICI Bank were a couple of other stocks which were in focus. Reliance Industries, another record high for that particular stock. Other gainers included Coal India, IOC, Power Grid, again, all from the PSU space. Sectors lost out, and that's probably been the theme that's been playing out in the past couple of trading sessions. So the Nifty Realty Index, like you can see, was down around 3%. Remember, these stocks have run up quite significantly, so you need to put that into perspective. Nifty IT was down today as well. So case in point would be something like a Mindtree, which has run up around 150% year to date. Healthcare stocks, Metropolis was under pressure today as well. So 5% downtick for that particular stock. And stocks in news were the likes of Godrej Consumer, Whirlpool, Cadilla, Future Group stocks, Indigo, all of these stocks which were in focus in today's trading session. But let's get in some market opinion then. S. Narain, ED and CIO at ICICI Prudential AMC believes that investors need to be careful when markets are at all-time highs. A word of caution coming in. Listen in.
Today, markets are not cheap, and I call it the central bank bull market, the global central bank bull market, because what they have done is just put so much money into the markets that you see the just markets going up and up and up. Now you see a lot of things also going up, like oil, gas, metals, many of their commodities going up. It's time that actually investors allocate money more carefully from here.
In more opinion that we got, this is Vetri Subramaniam, a group president and group head of equity at UTI Asset Management Company, who said that earnings forecasts may look bright, but current prices leave little room for error. Listen in.
Markets are still trading in fairly expensive territory. The challenge with looking at forward valuations is that it's then going to be a function of whether the companies actually deliver on the estimates. So then what you have when you're looking at, having to justify the market on valuations which are 2 and 3 years out is really that it leaves you with no margin for error or the script deviating in any way from the single script that you're, reading from.
Okay, well, that's the opinion that we got through the day. Well, on to the second headline this evening. Then cyclical stocks like government companies, PSU banks, energy and the metal space did well. PSU companies gained the most, with the Nifty CPSE ending more than 3% higher. PSU banking index also rallied around over 1%, while the Nifty metal index gained more than 0.5%. Well, sticking to the metal space, Prashant has gone on to the big wall now to talk about what might be a fresh supportive factor for metal prices broadly. We are talking about power outages being imposed in key Chinese provinces and cities. Prashant is here to tell us more. Prashant.
Over the weekend, it was reported that several provincial governments in China announced they would implement more restrictions on industrial power usage. This has meant electricity outages across key provinces in China. So let's take a closer look. Now, China's power outage has turned more severe, with a handful of provinces or cities stepping up power rationing to meet decarbonization goals. A quick background to this: the top planning body in China, the NDRC, had issued ratings in mid-August showing 9 provinces as performing poorly based on energy usage. And then in mid-September, the NDRC published a plan for what they call dual controls and was reported to pressure provinces that had lagged behind to curb energy use. By the way, besides the overarching top-down decarbonization goals, rising coal prices and other supply shortages have also contributed to electricity outages. Now, where is the maximum hit? As I said earlier, the August report classified 9 provinces as category red. Another 10 provinces were classified as yellow. The graphic here will highlight the regions most affected, red of course being the most severe, most affected. Factories across a range of these provinces have been impacted. All manufacturing powerhouses in China. So let's move on, right? In terms of how important these provinces are, as compared to the national total, output from these regions account for, across a range of these commodities, 42% of aluminum, 32% of cement, 16% of steel, 32% of paper packaging, and 34% of PVC production. So, I mean, it's pretty significant. Now we come to estimated production cuts because of these power outages, and this becomes a forecast now. This is why Goldman Sachs, which has put out these numbers, for ferrous metals, non-ferrous metal and non-metal mineral products, they're assuming the sharpest cuts between 20 and 40%. For these three industries, for petroleum, coking and natural fuel and chemical materials, they're assuming production cuts of between 10 and 20%. And for sectors like mining, textile, papermaking, chemicals, fiber, rubber, plastic products, they're assuming the smallest 5 to 10% of production cuts. Just a couple of points here in terms of the unknowns which are important. For starters, we don't know how long electricity outages will last. This will determine how long these production cuts will last. On the other hand, with complex supply chains and general interdependence between industries, it's unlikely that the impact will be limited to only these provinces, right? It will spill over. On the positive side, companies are flexible. They may increase production in provinces with less stricter energy consumption caps. While China is a big exporter of commodities, it is also a large consumer. What would be the impact to the end demand? Again, another unknown at this stage, but important factor for prices because it's supply and demand. Beyond the near term, though, I think what all this means is, in a way, effective supply discipline across a range of industries in the Chinese commodity complex, and hence maybe support for commodity prices themselves in the long run, something which I think bears watching.
Okay, all right, Prashant, thanks very much for that. But let's move on now to the third headline. And in fact, staying with the entire commodity space, Coal India rallied over 4% after the company said that demand would stay strong for 5 months. Also added that it was looking to hike supply agreement prices after 4 years as e-auction rates rose on tight supplies. Nigel is here to tell us more.
Well, that's right. Coal India hit a fresh 52-week high in today's trading session. Remember, the last month or so, JP Morgan as well as Credit Suisse, both of them have been quite bullish on the stock. Now, we had the management today and they gave us a couple of details in terms of the outlook. On volumes, they said that they're now looking at close to around 710 to around 730 million tons odd. Remember, the initial target was around 740 million tons. Though most on the street believe even the 710 to 730 is quite optimistic. Though on pricing, he sounded positive because he said that e-auction prices are at a premium of close to around 40% in comparison to FSA prices. And he said that he's optimistic about pushing through a 10% price increase on FSA sales. That's because of rising input cost as well as the pending wage revision as well. Now, he said the balance sheet is looking quite good at this point of time because cash balance has increased from 17,000 to around 25,000 crores odd. And receivables have come down from around 20,000 crores to around 16,000 crores in the first quarter. And now they've come down to around 13,000 crores. Finally, they indicated that, in fact, coal demand is likely to stay strong for the next 10 to around 15 years. But they're also looking at diversification in terms of the renewable space. And by 2024, they'll have a solar energy capacity of close to around 3,000 megawatt. In fact, let's hear out what the management had to tell us earlier today.
We have been given a target of 740 million ton of dispatch this year, but I feel that some realistic thing will be somewhere near 710 to 730 million ton that we are likely to achieve this year. We are getting e-auction prices in the range of 40 to 50% in certain segments, and it's likely to continue in that way or may increase in coming months because of increase in the demand.
Okay, that is Coal India for you. It's time for a quick break here, but stay tuned. We are back. More headlines, more opinion follow in just a bit.
Welcome back. Well, you're still tuned in to Markets Today on CNBC TV 18. Let's go to the rest of the top headlines that we're tracking this evening for you. The fourth headline today, oil extended its rally for its sixth straight day with Brent hitting a 3-year high. This is amid continued concerns over tight supply at a time when demand is picking up with the easing of the COVID-19 pandemic restrictions. Manisha Gupta is here with the details on this story. Manisha.
Well, the surge has just about continued when you look at energy and power numbers there. For the crude oil prices, we are trading at a 3-year highs and $80 has been taken in now. We are up by nearly 57% for this year when you look at the crude oil prices. And this is the biggest yearly gain since 2009 that you have seen come in for the crude oil prices. Well, Hurricane Ida has led to a lot of damage on the offshore facilities and is the reason you have the crude oil prices and natural gas as well trading at a 7-year highs. The strength also comes in from of the fact that we are looking at lower inventories in US for crude, which are at a 3-year lows, and the global inventories also are on the weaker side. Same is the case for the natural gas also. Markets are anticipating a strong winter demand season, and inventories are lower as compared to the previous year, and that continues to support the prices here. It is going to be quite interesting on what the OPEC meeting does on 4th of October. That is where we would get newer cues from, but the expectations are that lower inventories, lower supplies, OPEC still controlling production, and demand opening up. All of these factors will lead to a lot of gains going forward as well. We're already done 80, and the expectation is that $90 to $95 per barrel is what you could see before this year ends. The other important factor also is about that there is underinvestment in all of these sectors, whether it is about crude or natural gas or coal, which is trading at an all-time highs, and the kind of power shortages that we have in China, Europe, UK, etc., will continue to keep the prices higher for all of these sectors going forward.
Manisha, thank you very much for that. So oil on the boil, as Manisha put it aptly. We spoke with Tanvi Gupta Jain, Chief India Economist at UBS India. And this was essentially the impact of oil continuing its upward march on India's macros. Tanvi pointed out an interesting thing. She said that if oil prices peak around the time later this year that the Fed starts to taper, it may be a risk that one needs to watch out for. Listen in.
Every $10 a barrel increase in oil prices increases India's current account deficit by 0.5% of GDP. It could actually time around the Fed indicating tapering of QE purchases in November. So definitely the risks are going up on the USD INR front. But again, India's external situation as of now continues to remain stable.
Okay, that's oil for you. Let's move on to the fifth headline that we're tracking, and this is a bunch of stocks which made moves. Pharma first. Well, that pack came under pressure. Specifically, Divi's Laboratories lost almost 3% over valuation concerns. Cadila was down over 2% after Credit Suisse gave an underperformer rating to that particular name. Ekta, what did you make of it?
Well, you know, I'll start with Divi's Labs because that particular stock is in fact down around 6% on a week-to-date basis. But you really have to put the fall into context. So, for example, the stock is up around 24% on a year-to-date basis. It's up around 157% from those March 2020 lows. Similarly, while valuations have corrected, while the stock has corrected, the valuations have corrected from its peak as well. So compared to its 52-week high, there is a valuation come off for Divi's Lab. But if you compare it to, say, its March 2020 lows or even its historical PE, it still remains quite punchy. Now, in terms of fundamental news, there was no fundamental news which came out for Divi's Labs. The Q1 numbers were quite strong, which were released some time back. The growth guidance remains at around 10 to 15%. Margins are expected to be maintained. Remember, they reported margins of over 40-odd%. The company is also focusing on niche APIs, but there could be a possible risk on the horizon, which is basically physical audits starting by the US FDA, restarting by the US FDA. So that always remains a concern for a stock such as Divi's, simply because they get around 70% of their sales from the US as well as Europe. Separately, for Cadila, Credit Suisse has written on Cadila. They have had an underperform rating on it with a target price of 380. They believe that the first mover advantage when it comes to the vaccine amongst the adolescent group could be short-lived. The stock is factoring in around a $2 billion valuation for the COVID-19 vaccine, and competition, according to them, is catching up. So that's on Cadila, which was down around 2.3%.
Ekta, thank you very much for that. Let's move on to the telecom space. Reliance Jio is offering a cashback on its popular prepaid plans. The stock actually did quite well yesterday. It's up today again. Reliance, that is. Rima is here with details of what happened. Rima.
Thanks so much for that. So JioMart is running a 20% cashback offering for Jio's popular prepaid plans, the 249 plan, the 555 plan, as well as the 599 plans. But here there are some important clarifications. This offering, this cashback is not provided by Reliance Jio. It is provided by Reliance Retail. Reliance Jio will get the full amount of, the plan. So no impact on Jio's P&L or on their average revenue per user. It is Reliance Retail which is offering this cashback, and this is not a direct cashback. It will be provided in the form of JioMart points, which can be redeemed at any Reliance Retail offering. So it's Reliance Retail which is actually trying to cross-sell its offerings. But for the other telecom players, because Jio's plans become that much more attractive, there is pressure, which is visible in the way the stocks are moving.
Okay, so that's on the entire telecom space. Nazara Technology and Delta Corp soared in trade after the High Court set aside the Kerala government's notification to ban online rummy. They called the decision arbitrary and inconstitutional. We spoke to Hardik Debar, who is the group CFO of Delta Corp, who said that the traction seen in the last 10 days indicates that the company will be back to pre-COVID levels by next quarter. Listen in.
The last 10 days of traction shows that we should be back to our peak pre-COVID levels. Hopefully in the next quarter, when we report a full quarter, you will be able to see that the numbers are way better than what we all expect. We should be going back to pre-COVID or slightly better than pre-COVID levels as well. So it's encouraging and it's very good. I don't see the scale up or the problem with the revenue build-up happening. It is just that we were waiting for things to open up.
Okay, so that is Delta Corp, and that also gets us to a close on this edition of Markets Today. From Ekta, me, everyone on the team, it's goodbye. Thanks for watching. More coming up in just a bit.